Hey guys, Steeple here. Today I got another look at the kid for you. This is a Tier 6 American Destroyer. I got Halsey in this thing. You can see my build here. I actually have both Halsey and Burke at 11. I'm not 100% sold on either of them. Burke's main advantage is he keeps the prop running when damaged. Halsey does have the legendary trait that does the same thing accidentally though. Last I've heard on it, it's considered a bug, but I also haven't heard any intention to fix said bug at this point, so until they change that, I don't really see much of a reason to go over Burke. You can let me know in the comments if you do have a reason. I do have them both at level 11 and they're both strong, but Burke is the better inspiration. Boosting AP damage on destroyers, you can try it if you want. I don't like that on destroyers as much because for destroyers, you got to conceptualize what am I getting my damage on. Maybe 50% torpedoes, 25% HE, 25 AP, maybe. You know, it might vary per player and play style and particular game. But, you know, I like to take a 100k damage game just because it's easy to conceptualize. So if it's a 5% boost and you're using only AP the entire round, like you can get on battleships, you might get 105,000 damage. Now in battleships, I mean, you can always make the argument using or getting additional AP damage is going to help eliminate targets quicker. But again, because of the relative rarity of using AP on destroyers, not as strong in my opinion. Burke, on the other hand, he's kind of the Norm Scott or Andrew Cunningham equivalent for destroyers. Helps your gun's accuracy. That I do use on a couple of different builds, including the USN destroyers, obviously. So, you know, it's kind of an interesting line where you can reasonably boost two of the destroyer commanders in the USN line and not really feel like you're wasting points. But it comes down to what you want to prioritize, obviously, because promotion orders are relatively rare. Speaking of wasting, some of you guys might think I'm wasting time here. What am I doing? I've captured B. You know, I had another destroyer that spawned by B that left me. That's not really that important at the moment. But I am spotting these targets just by sitting here, and I kind of wanted to show the sequence. I could have just easily edited this out and skipped the first 3 minutes. But I do like to make the point, and it's a point that I need to internalize, because I'm overly aggressive with destroyers, but a lot of destroyer commanders are hyper aggressive. They need to zoom forward until they, you know, get in engagement range and then immediately start firing. Spotting these targets, I am getting spotting damage if these guys behind me are shooting them. How well the job they're doing that, you know, in this particular instance, doesn't seem like they're doing a whole lot of damage. But they are shooting at these targets that I am spotting for them, and even though I'm not getting ribbons that pop up on the screen, you do get XP and credit bonuses for anytime someone shoots a target that they can't see on their own, but they can see because you're within their detection range, then you are getting points for that, so keep that in mind. Pensacola, I was taking some blind shots there. I did want to point out, usually when you saw those first 2 or 3 salvos, I kind of shot high when I was trying to blind fire them. Usually I find that you want to aim a little bit lower than you think you want to, because for some reason the game kind of aims up a little bit when you're trying to blind fire people, so keep that in mind. Now here I do have torps in the water at the King George, and I'm shooting at the Pensacola. That is intentional. Kind of the textbook play right here is light a fire in that King George, have them damage con it, and then hit them with those torps. You see someone else did light them on fire, by the way, but that's not relevant to what the point I'm making. Why I'm not shooting him is because this is a player psychology tendency that I like to talk about a lot and think about. Players, when they're getting shot, they get a little bit panicky or they need to react usually, and they'll determine what they're getting shot at, and then they'll change their course. And the kid only has 1 torpedo launcher, and I was in a vulnerable situation there. If the King George got within 3 kilometers of me, assuming he upgraded his ship, then I'm going to get auto-detected. So I didn't have a lot of wiggle room for those torps to miss. I really needed them to hit, otherwise I could have gotten rushed, and King George shooting at destroyers is extremely dangerous. So by not shooting at that ship, I wasn't reminding him that there's a destroyer in the water that he needs to be thinking about. He was shooting someone else. His mind was occupied elsewhere, and the guy happened to set a fire for me anyway, so that play worked out. We did get the kill with the flood there. So, and by the way, hitting the Pensacola for extra damage works out for us because we're actually able to kill him right there. So that's worked out to our advantage anyways, but that was kind of lucky. But the play was to not alert the guy that he had trouble coming his way. So this game was kind of bizarre. If you noticed, if you're keeping an eye on what happened in the game, we were up 3 caps immediately. All you got to do in that situation is defend those caps, and you win the game. If you understand domination mode, that should be obvious. But my team pulls back, and then they group up in the rear into some tightly concentrated black hole imitating defensive formation, which I never understand. I don't know what they were thinking there. But what looked like a very easy win early on is becoming less and less likely by the instance here. So at this point, I'm getting frustrated, as I do about 95% of the games that I play. I'm sure most of you know the feeling. So I'm thinking, well, we might have to take this game into our hands here. Now, this is a pretty intense sequence here, and I think it'll become apparent here in a second why. But someone is lighting this cruiser here, so I'm taking a little bit of a risk. I got the torps down in case he goes on his own path, but I'm pulling into here because I want to contest this cap, and I do have these other destroyers here, and here's one of them. I know this player I've played with, so you might recognize yourself. But I switched to the lower health Benson to try and eliminate them. We need to get these guns off because, USN destroyers are extremely dangerous. 2 of them against 1. I really didn't think I was going to win this exchange here. I do cycle back where I'm aiming. Look at that non-blackened section. There's more hit points available in there. So that's why I switched the aim. We get the double strike there. I didn't really realize it. I thought I got the double strike for killing both of the Bensons, but that was actually almost a triple strike. I don't know if I got all 3 of those in 10 seconds. Probably not, but initially I was like, crap, that cruiser's right behind me, and then it dawned on me that I actually got them both pretty much simultaneously. So we eliminated 3 targets there, and now we're able to capture this base. Just a little note, anytime I ask for help and someone says denied, what that player's doing is 99% of the time the complete opposite of what I would consider a good play. So, hey, don't say denied to your team. It really pisses me off. I'm sure it pisses most people off. And when you tilt your teammates like that, they are liable to make mistakes. But I don't know, the guy that said denied, he didn't want to help because he was busy buffing his Dewey in the back there. So, always semi-amusing in retrospect. If it works out, always fairly infuriating. Just, if you're not going to help someone, just don't respond to them, would be my advice. And then this guy, I couldn't tell when I was playing. He wasn't AFK the entire game, and I'm not sure if he's AFK here. But we do have the second capture point captured. Now, we do already have the Kraken, but I'm thinking we could try and enhance the score, so to say, here. So we're going to get in a position, and there's 2 reasons. AFK targets, or people you think are AFK, should be your lowest priority in almost every case, but you do need to take them out. Now, at this point, the other destroyer's on the other side of the map, so I don't have an option to engage him. But you do need to keep in mind that ships that are just sitting there are able to detect you and your teammates when they fire, and they can also stop eating or going to the bathroom or talking on the phone or doing whatever they're doing and pick up the control at all times. So I see people shooting at AFK targets when there's other targets to shoot at. Don't do that. That's how you lose games, because the AFK targets aren't currently a threat. But don't ignore them either. I mean, if you can shoot them, set them on fire, and help whittle them down, that's always a good play. But their primary threat to you and your team is their ability to spot passively. So don't ignore them, but don't prioritize them, is my advice when it comes to AFK players. Now here, I could have launched the torps. I could have started shooting. But again, if he's just put his controller down, he could have picked up his control and killed me had he been there. But we got into position where all those torps are going to hit. Set them on fire just for the lulls, and then we're able to nuke them. So he gone, as they say in the business. And here we're going to go for the 7th kill, but this guy's pretty much max range and other people are engaging him, so not going to pull that one off there. But another look at the kid. I mean, this is one of my favorite ships, extremely deadly. Every time I hear someone say the kid sucks, it just makes me laugh because they've either never played it or they don't know what they're doing. But I hope you did enjoy that video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, you should consider subscribing. I got a lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions for me, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.